David Phelps entered the world on October 21st, 1969, in the heart of Texas. From the very beginning, his life was deeply rooted in three things: faith, music, and learning. These weren't just guiding principles, they were woven into the very fabric of his upbringing. The melodies of gospel music often drifted through the walls of his home, blending seamlessly with heartfelt prayers and family conversations. His earliest memories were filled with church choirs, Sunday sing-alongs, and moments where music and faith came together in perfect harmony. For young David, music wasn't just a pastime, it was his calling and his spiritual compass. He grew up in the quiet town of Tomball, Texas, where community and family came first. His father, Gene Phelps, worked hard as a businessman, providing for the family with dedication and integrity. Meanwhile, his mother, Mariella, brought books, poetry, and language into David's world, instilling in him a deep love for education and thoughtful expression. But beyond their professions, both parents were devout in their faith and active in their local church, which became a second home for David. Sundays were more than a tradition. They were sacred. The church was where his voice first found its audience and where he learned the true power of worship through song. Even as a child, David's voice stood out in every setting. He possessed a rare vocal ability, rich, soulful, and surprisingly mature for his age. This wasn't just talent. It felt like something deeper, something divine. His family recognized early on that David had been given a remarkable gift. He began singing in school programs, church services, and local talent shows, each time leaving listeners amazed by his depth and emotion. He wasn't just performing, he was ministering through music. Still, growing up in a small town came with its own set of challenges. Opportunities for advanced musical training were few and far between, yet David's parents did everything in their power to nurture his potential. They sought out voice coaches, enrolled him in music classes, and encouraged him to explore a wide range of musical styles. With their unwavering support, David thrived. In high school, he became known for his incredible vocal range, effortlessly hitting notes others wouldn't dare attempt. He joined the choir and began crafting the vocal precision that would later define his career. But his talents weren't limited to the stage. Thanks to his mother's love for education, David excelled academically as well. He developed a sharp intellect that would serve him just as powerfully as his voice. Upon graduating from high school, he made a pivotal choice that would shape the rest of his life. He enrolled at Baylor University in Waco, Texas. There, he focused on music and vocal performance, diving deep into the world of classical training. He studied opera composition and advanced vocal techniques that would one day distinguish him in the world of gospel music. Throughout college, David's spiritual foundation never wavered. He continued to sing in churches, lead worship sessions, and use his voice as a vessel for God's message. It was during these years that his passion for gospel truly blossomed. And though he didn't yet know it, his path was about to lead him to a platform that would touch the lives of millions years later. David Phelps would join one of the most respected groups in Christian music history, the Gaither Vocal Band. With his soaring tenor and emotionally charged performances, he quickly became a central figure in the group. His voice carried the power to lift spirits, bring people to tears, and draw listeners into a moment of spiritual connection. With the Gaithers, wasn't just a job. It was a journey of faith, friendship, and music. Each concert was more than entertainment. It was an experience of worship. For David, being part of the Gaither Vocal Band was like finding a second family. On stage, their voices blended in perfect harmony. Off stage, they shared laughter, stories, and prayers. There were long tours across the country, international performances, and nights filled with standing ovations. But above all, there was a deep sense of brotherhood that held everything together. Yet no chapter lasts forever. After many unforgettable years, David made the difficult decision to step away from the group. It wasn't a decision made lightly. Walking away from the Gaither Vocal Band meant leaving behind not only a platform that had elevated his voice, but also the close-knit circle of friends who had become like brothers. He knew, however, that God was leading him towards something new, or a different kind of purpose. David yearned for more time at home, more moments with his children, and the creative freedom to explore new musical directions. Still, the transition was filled with emotion. His final performance with the Gaither Vocal Band was a night to remember, bittersweet and deeply moving. As he stood on stage, singing familiar hymns for the last time alongside his beloved bandmates, every note felt sacred. The audience, unaware of the weight behind the performance, joined in as if sharing in a farewell hymn. Backstage, emotions ran high. Mark Lowry tried to lift spirits with his usual humor, but even he couldn't mask the sadness in his eyes. Penrod embraced David with the warmth of a lifelong friend. And Bill Gaither, the man who had given David this opportunity so many years ago, offered quiet words of encouragement and gratitude. It was the end of a season, one filled with memories, faith, and countless lives touched. Returning home after years on the road brought a sense of peace David hadn't felt in a long time. Gone were the crowds and the travel. In their place were quiet mornings, family dinners, and time to reflect. But David didn't stop singing. Instead, he poured his heart into a solo career that allowed him to share music in an even more personal way. His songs became stories of his own spiritual journey, intimate, powerful, and honest. With time, the pain of leaving the Gaithers softened. In its place grew a deep gratitude for all he had experienced. David knew his story wasn't ending, was evolving. The legacy he helped build with the Gaither Vocal Band would always be a part of him, and the music they created together would live on in the hearts of those they inspired. Today, David Phelps continues to use his voice as a beacon of hope, faith, and joy. He sings not just to entertain, but to uplift, to remind people of the beauty and strength that can be found in worship. And as he moves forward into each new chapter, he carries with him the lessons, the love, and the lasting legacy of a life devoted to God and music.